conservative media company, The Daily Wire, have released a film called Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels, where radical Muslims attack a pro-Palestine encampment at a quote-unquote liberal college. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Your country is beneath contempt.
We who love and serve Allah fought back against the Americans and the Zionists from the scourge of secularism and the lands of unbelief.
Anyone gonna listen to Captain Saunders tomorrow? The retired Delta Force soldier with a new book out.
He's the polar opposite of those brain-dead protesters.
Given the current climate, should Clay Saunders even be allowed on campus?
Mr. Saunders is a close personal friend of Chancellor Friedman. This is a decision I cannot fight.
There are three ways Islam will conquer the West. Through immigration, through the wombs of our women, and by using our nation's freedoms against us. Are you paying attention?
Listen carefully. The great Satan, America, will fall. You are infidels. The bodies of women are not pure and the men's souls are unclean.
What makes them so dangerous? Their goals are not in this life, but the next.
Anyone? I got friends here. I can't just leave.
Listen to me! Illallah. We cannot run or hide from what is coming. We have to fight.
I will be rewarded 10,000 times in the next life. When you die, you're nothing. Only one way to find out.
That's the American way.
The Daily Wire for the last 10 years have tried their best to rival Hollywood by trying to create an entertainment conservative media ecosystem. Back in 2023, the Daily Wire produced conservative comedy film Lady Ballers, which follows a group of men who pretend to be women to infiltrate women's sports, an obvious attack on trans people. Ben Shapiro, co-founder of The Daily Wire, admitted they couldn't find examples of real-life occurrences of men infiltrating women's sports, so just said that the movie was based on the writers making up the stories. Earlier this year, Armie Hammer starred in a far-right movie called Citizen Vigilante, where the plot focuses on a man who takes matters into his own hands and murders immigrants who commit crimes. Sharing the film trailer on Twitter yesterday, Shapiro said, "The threat of radical Islam is real. Hollywood has refused to tell that story for 3 decades. Now we're saying the thing with the biggest, most audacious, funniest, and most kick-ass film Daily Wire has ever released. Here's the trailer." Curtis, I don't really have words. Have you any thoughts and feelings you'd like to share about
words?
That absolute slop. But also at the same time, like, it is, we can kind of sit here and laugh and like be like, oh my god, that was all terrible, but people will watch that, and maybe some people do agree with Ben Shapiro that there's this missing part of Hollywood that they're not focusing on, etc., etc. Like, what do you kind of make of all that?
Okay, so first of all, conservatives can't make art. They just can't.
Literally.
They're very bad at it.
It's because they have no feeling. You have to have feeling and emotion to create art, and unfortunately conservatives lack that. They lack empathy, they lack passion, love, anything regard any kind of emotion other than hatred, and unfortunately hatred doesn't allow you to create good art.
I mean, the conservative media and conservative films only exist in sort of like the Christian sort of arena. You know, they'd be those straight to DVD or TV movies of like Christian films. That's what you'd see. So the Daily Wire, they've pretty much lots of right wingers, including people like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, who, by the way, calls himself a theocratic fascist. I mean, that's not me being hyperbolic. He's literally got it in his own bio. These people are just failed actors and people in the media. That's it. And they have an entire grievance on the way in which they believe Hollywood is. Look, Hollywood, there's definitely political movies. Of course there are. But the difference is, I think, between like Hollywood and what the Daily Wire is trying to do is that Hollywood, they're trying to make good movies, and then you will have directors and writers subtly or sometimes not subtly, push through some kind of political subtext, right? Yes, that's going to happen. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's really, really cringe. But the first sort of port of call when making a movie in Hollywood is it a good film? Of course, is it going to make money too? Whereas like the Daily Wire, for them, the first thing was, we need to just push our conservative propaganda. Okay. The quality of movies is second. I mean, that trailer, that like politics aside, looked like a god-awful film. Really cringe. I mean, you were laughing in the background. It was like, this is America. Embarrassing, isn't it? Right.
So cringe.
The acting in that was, a lot of that was just absolutely terrible as well. So they can't make art. But the reason why I think that's the case is I think that when it comes to maybe like political movements, left-wing political movements, there's a struggle, okay? And in that struggle, I think culture is almost born out of struggle. That's where you get movements from, right? Conservatives and conservatism had never had to struggle for their political identity or to make change. I mean, they are literally the status quo. Take same-sex marriage, for example. Fighting for queer rights. Within that struggle, you create cultures. You create movements. We have Pride every single year. These things come out of solidarity. So I think when you have media, okay, which isn't explicitly conservative, it's just more entertaining. There's more interesting stories to tell. I mean, that Lady Ballers video or film you brought up, where it's like, oh yeah, a bunch of guys pretend they're women to get into women's sports. I mean, like, is that an interesting story? Not really. People are just like, who fucking cares? Like,
But also
the right wingers say this all the time, and it's boring, isn't it?
But also the fact that they said they couldn't actually find any evidence of anything like that actually happening. So they made up this scenario, which obviously you can do that in film, like, fine.
Yeah, sure.
But it's the fact that people would potentially go out and see that or watch it or whatever and it just adds to that narrative that this is a really big issue, this is a really big concern. It's such a big issue that even they're making films out of it and Hollywood's picked it up and and it's like, no, it's actually a non-issue.
Well, I mean, even when it comes to movies and they're set in the fantastical or they're sci-fi, the successful ones is the real human element, isn't it?
True.
Right, in which you can still relate to. So, like, can you really relate to conservative media unless you are like a signed-up member of the conservative movement, right? If you're your average person, can you really identify with their media? And you can't. It's look. The funny thing is, I think people like Ben Shapiro are just projecting their own, views on the world. They've accused Hollywood of just pushing their politics. And again, they haven't completely pushed their politics. You do get subtle and unsubtle political subtext in some films. But the Daily Wire is literally something to just create conservative propaganda. I mean, this film is about radical Muslims going on a pro-Palestine encampment. Okay? That's so obviously tried to be red meat. Mm. Now, what many right-wingers will say is, but, liberals and leftists have the political hegemony. And this is just an outlet to hear a different kind of, or hear different views or have some kind of plurality. And I think this is something that conservatives haven't understood, which is that just because the world is changing and just because people socially are, by and large, becoming more progressive, that doesn't mean you become the rebel. So, for example, when same-sex marriage wasn't legal, okay, when it became legal and the majority of people are like, yeah, we're cool with this, that didn't turn conservatives into the counterculture, into the revolutionaries, right, into the rebellious people. It just meant that we've made progress, okay? Conservatives still hold a lot of political and economic power. But that's what conservatives believe they are. Because people have become more progressive, they've their views, which in many ways is the minority, they feel like they are then oppressed. It's a very victim thing. So no change happens. This is exactly what Matt Goodwin's New Elite was talking about, because he seems to think the New Elite are the liberals and the progressives, and conservatism is like the thorn in the side of the political establishment. The right wing did at that time. It's like, no, it's not. The political establishment are those who have economic and political power. And guess what? The right wing support that, okay? The left do not have political and economic power. Yes, you do see cringy, liberal, greenwashing and green capitalism, which leftists and socialists scrutinize and criticize. But like, the left doesn't have any institutional power. And often where the left do make some kind of waves is through arts, is through culture, because we have something interesting to say. And that's why art is just so much better. And conservatives cannot do it. Like, it's not about me being like, oh, I'm really, really mad and upset that conservatives are doing their own media. Have at it. Just do a good job of it. I think they'd be a lot more popular if they just knew how to make films. But they just don't. They don't know how to do it. They have no idea. Also, a final thing which I find very ironic is that there was I think it's in the making that particular film, there were lots of like health and safety issues and some accidents, and people were calling for unions.
Oh, really?
And I was like, well, that's very funny.